Welcome everyone to Rehab 2030, the operator's playbook. This is not a traditional podcast about the industry today. It's a podcast about how the future would look like, how we would solve today's problem in a manner that facilitates the future growth of the industry. My name is Motaz Ebeido. I'm the founder of Hands of Hope and GoBill. Over the past few years, I have been deeply involved in the realities of scaling the rehab industry across operations, payer strategies, patient flows, financing, and increasingly lately at data, automation, and AI. One of the things that became very clear is that the gap between organizations that are able to adapt and organizations that are not able to adapt is getting further and further, not because of the clinical care. As an industry, we pride ourselves in the clinical care excellence, but because how the businesses are built, how the system, the patient experience, the decision making, the data points, and in many cases, what happens before even the patient walks through the doors of our facilities. Today's conversations is going to start exactly at that, because before we speak about AI, before we speak about automations, it's extremely important to speak about the processes and the workflows that we build on. Our guest today is Jerry Durham. Jerry is one of the voices in the industry that speaks controversially about the role of the front desk, how we could improve the front desk, and how the front desk could be the gate to our success as an organization. Jerry, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks, Motaz. I got to be honest, I was listening to your introduction, and I love the introduction because I think there's a lot of things in there that are really important for rehab practice owners to consider. And I think it's also important for people like me who are out there trying to engage rehab practice owners to do the things I think can make them successful. So this is good. This is going to be a great conversation.
So, Jerry, I think my first question to you is, as entrepreneurs and builders in the industry, how do we get that paradigm shift across clinicians that it's not the patient care the issue, but it's how the business component operates is the
Yeah.
real challenge?
When I started my business, I basically I bet on all the clinical care. And then I'm just going to fast forward. I did, right? I'm a physical therapist by training. I opened a physical therapy business. I said, I do good physical therapy, therefore I'll be successful. This was by the way, this was late 90s, right? So late 90s is getting longer and longer ago. Every time I say that, I got to consider it's not just like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Late 90s, there wasn't a lot of the exposure, the tech, the awareness, the ability to get the word out as there is today. So just take that context in mind as I move forward. Yet, what had happened very quickly after I owned my business was the advent of online reviews, Yelp, right? Yelp started in San Francisco. That's where I started. And everybody wanted to be on Yelp and share their experience. So this idea about it's more than clinical care hit me, right? I don't claim to have discovered anything on my own. It was like I stumbled into just about all of this. It hit me that most of the reviews, I like to play this game. I call it playing the game of read your reviews and tell me if the patient got better. Because most of the time you don't know. So it's this advent of online reviews, which, by the way, we are very poor at doing. We're very poor at surveying and talking to our happy paying customers, right?
Yep.
Every other industry invests millions and millions. So this was the first, and by the way, that was me too. I wasn't surveying my current patients, past patients. And so when I started to read the Yelp reviews, I'm like, 5-star review. Wow, this place has 5-star reviews, right?
Yeah.
And I go back and read every one. I'm like, did people get better or not here? So that journey about it was more than, right? And you know me, I like to be divisive in a way of getting people to stop and get pissed off and think. And a lot of times I'll say it doesn't matter about your providers because like you already alluded this, the providers, I found this out on my journey. My providers were always doing good work. But when I looked at the experience more and I started to leverage the other team members, guess what? My provider's results raised without doing anything with my provider. So this journey of, oh my God, it is important to other people more. I learned very quickly around expectations. And when you read the research, when people call physical therapists, they expect that they can get a result from any physical therapist. So we overemphasize this part that they expect is going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack there, but that's my take on that. And that literally is my journey of how I got here going. It's more than just the care, right? Hire great clinician. What I found was I didn't have to focus on the clinicians as much as I thought I had.
Yeah.
They were doing good work. When I gave them the support through the front desk work, the results, by the way, patient results improved, the PT results improved, and the business results improved. So it all came together, right?
Yeah. So, Jerry, you've built a huge reputation about the patient journey. You were actually one of the very few rooms that were completely full in the last PPS. In the hospitality industries, there is this no one's around. First impression happens in the first 5 seconds. How do you how do you suggest this impression must be left? Like what do we need to do to leave an ideal impression for the five first seconds that eventually improve our outcome through the client's care?
Let's go to the hospitality side.
Right.
I went, check this out, because I'm hyper aware, right? And
Yeah,
it's me. And
yeah,
I'm hyper aware not because I want to bitch.
yeah.
I'm hyper aware because I'm going, what are people doing, right? That we
Yes,
need to do.
yes,
Because, right, so I go check in at a hotel. This was like 2 months ago. I got two examples of this. I go check into a hotel. Mind you, I did this on reflection after this thing happened. But you're waiting in line to check in, right? It's
yes,
midday. I was on a flight all day. I got to Austin. It was hot. I'm in an Uber. I don't really know where I'm going. I get there and there's like this relief I'm there. But then what's going to happen next, right? Do they, oh, by the way, my wife had to add me to the room. My wife was already there.
yeah,
Do they have me added to the room? Am I going to have to leave a credit card? Are they going to be ready for me? Am I going to have to leave my bags and wait to get in the room? What happens? So I started going through all this uncertainty, is the
yes,
word.
yes,
I love this story. Oh, and I blew it up, by the way. You know, I posted on it and really blew
yes,
up the people who did this. So I walk up and I say, hello, my name's Jerry Durham. I'm checking in. I should be on the room with my wife. Oh, hello, Mr. Durham. Welcome. Oh, by the way, would you like a complimentary margarita or a glass of water while we look this up for you?
immediately eased you.
And dude, it just, right? The experience just totally shifted at that point.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you again, a lot of this is on reflection, but the experience totally shifted. Guess what? They did have everything. They had the room ready, everything. Now, mind you, this is in hindsight. So I walk up, I have this uncertainty. They offer me this. The whole mood shifted. So
yes.
there I am with a margarita in my hand. And now, by the way, do you think I'd tolerate maybe if the room wasn't quite ready? Do you think I'd tolerate them asking me the same questions that I probably already answered 3 times before? I'm like, the tolerance level went way up because I'm like, wow, this is so
It
complicated.
got
Thank you
eased.
so much. Yes. So this impression in the that was literally the first 10 seconds. And
Yeah,
it shifted me out of this, oh my God, what am I going to do? Is everything going to be right? To, hey, I'm happy to be here. It'll get taken care of. And again, it could have still went in the direction I thought it did, but my mood had already shifted. It wasn't going to be, oh, just what I expected. They're not ready for me. Don't you guys type this stuff in? Why wouldn't you have it in your system? All that left. Now,
yes,
so there's the hospitality side of this.
yes,
And by the way, I'd like to mention, because I forget his name, but I know the hospitality book, the 1% book or whatever it is, has been real popular. You know, I mostly lived in big cities. I was born in a smaller town, but I love my city. So hang out in cities a lot. Love going out to eat and wherever I go, good restaurants. But in this world, so much investment is put on that front end,
yes,
right?
yes,
Of the all great restaurants have great front ends, right? That
yes,
call them a host, a maitre d', right? Maitre d's used to be like shit. They were more important than the chef in the back. I swear to God, right?
yes,
And had more influence. And that's that first point of contact. So the hospitality industry has always gotten this. Let's fast forward real quick to a PT clinic. How you pick up the phone and those first things you say to me on the phone when you call to say, hey, my name's Jerry. I have low back pain. I want to schedule an appointment. Think about that experience at the hotel. All those people are bringing this uncertainty of, am I going to have to repeat myself? Can they really help me? What do they know about me, right? Is this the right place? So how I tell everybody, I pretty much Now, not 100%, but I pretty much know how that conversation is going to go within the first 30 seconds. And I make a statement that that phone call is either it's made or broken, made or break in the
Yeah.
first 30 seconds, because you're either going to shift to go be, and what we want here in the carryover from that hotel experience, we want people just to lower their guard a little bit and go,
Yes.
take a deep breath and go, okay, I'm in the right place. Okay, I called the right place. And that alone is going to move you further ahead. So that, so glad you asked that question, because that experience I had in the hotel, I'm just going to say it out loud, is no different, 95% the same as someone calling a PT clinic. We have
Yes.
all this uncertainty. So what are you going to do in those first 30 seconds to make sure that I know I should invest my time, money, and energy even on this phone call, right?
Yes. Yes. So most of the clinics think they need more patients through the door. They think it's a marketing issue. And I always argue against it. I think the issue is more of a retention and drop-off issue. And again, it's not just the plan of care, it's not just the right diagnosis, it's the continued engagement in the process. What's your nuance of that? Like again, when you think of the hospitality as an example, we always build, a loyalty funnel to keep you engaged. How do you think we could do something like that in the industry, and how do you think the front desk contributes to that?
By the way, I agree with everything you said. We don't have a top of funnel marketing problem. We have a retention problem.
Okay.
And when you think about it, so here's where I want to kind of divert out from hospitality, because hospitality is, and I go back and forth with people on this and just try to set the context. I go, we got to be careful because that hospitality worked perfect in that other example. And by the way, retention, how do you make sure people keep coming back to your hotel? I get it. So there is a lot of overlap, but
Yes.
I want to diverge a bit because physical therapy is an interesting beast and animal, because we're going to ask someone to commit to more at this point in time, right? You go to dinner, you eat the meal, you leave, right? They don't
Yes.
say, oh, by the way, stay for 12 more meals, right? You know what I mean? Or 12 more courses.
Yes.
So I just want to bring this in here because there is a lot of overlap with the hospitality, but we got to shift a little bit now and say, okay, and let's go back to the front end. So I pick the phone up and I hear, hi, my name's Jerry. I have low back pain. So we're going to talk about retention now. Hi, my name's Jerry. I have back pain. I want to get scheduled for physical therapy. We just said the call is made or break in 30 seconds. So I would argue that your ability now to retain someone is made or broke in 30 seconds, dude. So yes, it is. I just was reviewing some old videos of mine. This idea, look, I want to be careful and not diverge too much, but this idea that that first phone call is about a course of care. So let's go there, Motaz. So when I pick up the phone and I see her, hi, my name's Jerry. I have low back pain. I want to get scheduled for physical therapy. This is a person with an issue that you may or may not be able to help them with. Yet, if you can help them, there there's going to be a longer journey with you, a longer journey, right? And so this first phone call has to be built with that in mind. And that's that arrive, pay, and stay mentality I talk about. When your front desk picks up the phone, they have to be thinking about first visit arrival, getting this person their payment, and just bear with me on that. We don't have to give them a hard number. I know in the insurance industry. And then we have to start building towards staying a plan of care. And that starts at the front desk on the first phone call. And so this idea of more people coming in the door is a scheduled mentality.
Okay.
So I just said the arrive, pay, and stay mentality, which is a retention, which is really an arrive and pay, and
Yes.
then let the provider be the expert they are, and they're going to pitch the stay. But yet, I've already alluded to this. I found my completed plan of care rate went up when we changed the front desk. The providers changed nothing. They kept doing the same thing. So we start answering the phone with this idea of retention in mind.
Okay.
And I'm going to make sure you understand what that means on the first phone call, Motaz. And let me get in the weeds a little bit. That means that you understand that the deliverable to you, I don't say deliverable, but the deliverable to you, the patient, is your plan of care, which is what? Your, right? The journey that you agree upon with your expert that will get you back to the gym pain free. So this is all pre-sold, pre-suaded to get you to understand you're with the right expert, right? So, I mean, again, a course of care and retention is a journey. So this front desk is selling the first visit while moving in there how that ties to retention. And again, in the hospitality world, let's go here, is it still goes back to that same thing. If I don't get you to understand you called the right place within the first 5 to 30 seconds, then you're not going to buy into maybe, and this is the problem, dude. Drops before visit 3 is a front desk expectations issue.
Sure.
And so if I don't lead with this and put you in the right place, right mindset that you called the right place, sure, you'll agree to show up for one visit and then you fucking disappear. Oh, sorry. I get to be the first one that said the F word on your podcast. And so
no one goes expecting a Jerry, it's
yeah,
just
right.
like the
Yeah, there
fragile of
you
your
go.
personalities.
Expectations. Yeah. And so we can get people to show up for that first visit. Yet we got to plant the seed that there is a progression here, a journey here to be had together, which again, as I've already alluded to, and I've proven more than once, that if I plant that seed, people will engage and say yes to a plan of care.
So
We set our providers up for
I
failure.
feel like the first phone call is almost as important as the evaluation itself.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's all I'm going to say on that is you must treat the first phone call as an evaluation. Now, bear with me real quick because people get lost in this. You're
I
not
want to
doing the
challenge you a little bit.
evaluation. Yeah, we're not doing the evaluation,
Yes.
but here's the first phone call, right? And then here's the arrival, right? They build on each other and they are more closely connected than anybody understands. And I actually call those both a separate sales process. First phone call is the first sales process. The evaluation is the second sales process, and they feed off of each other, right?
But this is the thing, the evaluation you get, a doctor of physical therapy to do the evaluation after years and years and years of training and years and years of sharpening their skills. They're very committed to the care. They're very committed to their patients. They take pride in patients getting better versus it's a lot more difficult to hire the same caliber of people when it comes to front desk. So in the recruitment and training shuttle, what would be your suggestion, and based on your expertise, what would be the key points of the onboarding to guarantee at least 80% of what you were just saying?
Yeah. So I love sharing this story. I was working, I want to tell people what they have to be thinking about because it's not much different than the physical therapist, right?
Yep.
So we need a physical therapist that will do exactly what you said, be the expert, do a hands-on and movement assessment, do some treatment, and then deliver a journey, a plan of care that aligns with the person's goals and have a discussion about that. And then say, so Motaz, what do you want to do? Right.
Yeah.
If you think about that, dude, that's a sales, that is a sales process if there was ever a sales process. So when this journey started for me, I was working with my clinicians. It was early on. The Bishop and Boloski expectations research had just come out and posted in JSPT, and I started reading it, and I was like, this is huge, and we can impact this. So I started working with my clinicians as a whole on this, and then individually, I was sitting in on evaluations to listen to how my providers were managing and setting expectations. At the same time, and that's quite same time, but there was overlap. I'm discovering more of the therapeutic alliance research. Maxi Micek was a big impact on me. So I'm reading the therapeutic alliance research. Well, if we build trust, increase likelihood of an outcome. If we manage and set expectations, increase likelihood of an outcome. And then here's my favorite part. If we're managing and setting expectations properly, we're building trust. So I was just like, holy shit. This is like, by the way, my favorite, and depends how old you are, where you grew up, but the Wonder Twin powers. If anybody knows Wonder Twins, they were cool apart, but they were better when they got together.
Yeah.
So I saw the therapeutic alliance and the expectations research as Wonder Twin. Well, here's the kicker back to the front desk. I don't remember how. I'm not going to create some story that didn't happen. All I'm going to say is one day I know I got whacked upside the head with basically a two by four and went, holy shit. Why are we waiting? This was my thought. Why are we waiting until someone gets in front of the provider to build trust and manage and set expectations when we could be doing it at the front desk on the first phone call? So this process and the people I started looking for, Motaz, early on, I need to start interviewing these people like I'm interviewing a provider. By the way,
Yes.
a revenue generator, a participant in a patient's outcome, right? So I needed to look at this front desk the same way I was looking at my providers as someone who needed to have a conversation. And by the way, I almost wanted to say this, and people say this, but yeah, we have to convince people. So this is the one thing I say over and over. There's no convincing, and we're not changing people's minds, dude. I
Yeah.
don't care what he says. I don't believe in that. I'm giving people information based on their needs and wants of what I can deliver. And I'm making sure I check all the boxes. And then I'm saying, so what do you want to do? Really, that's what the PT is doing. I
Yeah.
just went through this whole evaluation. Here's what you can't do. Here's what I found. Here's what it'll take to get you back to that. What do you want to do? That is not changing anybody's mind. That's not convincing anybody. That's showing people
If
information and then going, what do you want to do? So I look for that at the front desk, Motaz. And now, the only kicker of how that's evolved, I now understand there are attributes of great salespeople.
you
And by the way, you should look at for those attributes in your providers as well as your front desk.
yes.
And this is not customer service, this is sales. So there are great attributes of salespeople. Separately, there are great attributes of customer service people. Your front desk voice of the company needs to have the attributes of a good salesperson. That's your PT.
So if you analyze pattern across, and I've been consulting for years and years now, if you analyze patterns across practices and you would like to advise the audience to hold their front desks accountable to only two KPIs, what would those be? If you're choosing out of everything, out of every matrix we talk about, everything the industry look at, two KPIs, those are the two numbers. If your front desk are getting those right, you're on the right track.
So it's lead to arrived conversion rate, right?
Okay.
How many of the leads you managed
Okay.
arrived in the clinic, right, and paid?
Okay.
So that is I don't want to go too deep down this whole Motaz, but really we're talking about three roles at that front desk. We're talking about a voice of the company, the salesperson. We're talking
Right.
about the forward facing, because I think that person should be offsite in a back room somewhere, right?
Okay.
Now, mind you, I know everybody doesn't have the ability to have these multiple roles, but I believe that through outsourcing and AI and all the tech, that it's more and more possible than ever. So it's the voice of the company, then it's the face of the company. That's the customer service person, and then it's the billing person. So we have three roles to fill. So the attributes are a little different and the KPIs, but that voice of the company, number one is conversion rate. Of all the leads you manage, how many showed up?
Okay.
And
Okay.
then, and then real quick, I think it needs to be money collected over the front desk for the customer service person. If I know my leads to arrived and I know my collection rate, I think Motaz, you and I can agree, I've covered about greater than 51%
Yes.
of the work I need to do in my business, right? Because
100%.
right, it's deal flow.
Yes.
I
I
didn't,
want to get deeper into the AI topic.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we have to, dude. It's March. I timestamp every AI talk. It's March 2026. Go.
Yes, the podcast vision is to show how the rehab industry would look in 2030 and not just get into
Yeah,
the
there we
what's
go.
happening
Right.
today,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to build towards
Awesome.
that. So how do you, again, the AI would affect multiple layers of the journey of the
Yes.
patient from how the lead is generated, from how the marketing is done to how the lead is converted, and so on and so forth. And it's just going to keep going until it gets to the provider level and how the AI could recommend additional exercises or part of care additions and how it help in documentation, so on and so forth. But for the purpose of today, how do you see the AI affecting the front desk, the 30-second impression?
It's going to allow owners to create pre-arrival processes, right? So this is what I'm talking about right now. And then we can talk about arrival if we want.
Yes.
But yet, you know my world. I think pre-arrival is the biggest leverage point, right? Because we have the first phone call sell, and then they show up and then they see the PT. AI will allow the pre-arrival process to be dialed in and executed properly 100% of the time.
Right.
And here's what I mean. And everybody's going, yeah, but I have systems in place that get executed 100% of the time. And I go, no, they don't.
Okay.
No, they don't. And I'll tell you why I know this because I listen to calls every day.
Mm.
And your best salesperson needs constant feedback and constant training,
Yes.
as with anything in life. I mean, my God, I love this analogy, dude. I love this analogy. I don't watch golf, but when I do with my father-in-law, these guys making more money than God have a bucket of balls and they're out there at 6:30 in the morning hitting balls on the day that they're going to play like 36 holes, right? So, I mean, the human condition, we have to practice, we have to keep improve, right? We're either winning or we're learning. I love that analogy. Here's the thing with AI. AI is learning and it will deliver consistently. And yes, it still needs some QA. So that's what I'm going to stick with. You will be able to put together a pre-arrival process that is dialed in and nailed for your ideal client that will be delivered on 100% of the time. And your metrics, let's go back to KPIs, will be truer than they ever were.
I want to re-emphasize on something that you just said, like, you'll be able to put the process. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of the AI applications are not hitting the success people are expecting. One, because of managing expectations, but two, which is very important because you put an AI on a messy process, it just gives you a messy outcomes. So, like, how would you advise people to go back and just document their processes on a step by step?
I just posted that this morning, dude. Yeah, I posted that this morning before we got on. There's been Alex Pendersky shared something this morning that was really good. And it was about providers and empathy. Okay. Well, so I just want to say, because everybody I've always said your front desk should be empathetic, right? By the way, we need to define that term. But here's the deal. Can you teach empathy? I'm like, sure. And guess who you can teach it to? An AI agent. And guess who will deliver it consistently? An AI agent. It's March of 2026. The research already shows this. So, back to your question, does your process currently contain the components of conversations and writing, right? So, hey, by the way, this isn't just a voice agent, it's what's reflected in your email, what's reflected in your text. Man, I spend so much energy and time making sure that these all align because I could have a great conversation with Motaz, whoever, whatever could. The AI, I can, the human, and then your messaging says, "Oh no, we're just like everybody else." So it's like, damn, that flame that was ignited now starts to burn out. So AI, what I'm finding currently, and I'm spending a lot of time now on the AI voice side, is I love this. And now I've written the prompts. I've written the prompts and a prompt for an AI voice agent. So I got to type it out, listen to it, change it, listen to it. The AI voice agent will deliver whatever you put into it, and it will deliver it pretty, pretty close to what you want. So back to your process question. So if you have a process on the first phone call that is about listening, about acknowledging, about managing and setting expectations, about delivering an expert, about sharing what will happen on the next step, and then discovering cost, and you put that into an AI agent, it'll deliver it. If you have a fucking process that is about getting the insurance, the doctor's name, the date of birth, and an address, and you put that into AI, it will deliver that.
Do
If
you believe
no,
that the admin component of the journey will get to the point it's 100% managed by AI?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's a little nuance there, but the flat out answer is yes.
Okay.
And this human in the loop, I'm going to say this, it's March 2026. There's a book called Reshuffle. I looked up how to say his last name properly. I hope I'm saying it right. It's Chaudhry, Choudary. It's right above me. Reshuffle. It is, I'm going to reflect back on that book in 5 years and go, right? I have a stack of books based on what were the biggest impact over my journey. And this will be, right? This will be the last 5 years. And Reshuffle gets you, it's literally the title it gets you to examine the value of AI in our world. And he uses healthcare a lot, and he's not a healthcare guy, right? And it's going to change the way, I love this, it's going to change the way we do work. So people in healthcare love to say over and over, healthcare, AI won't replace the human. And I'm like, well, if we're starting a conversation like that, we're probably having the wrong conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the research is already showing, this is where expectations come in, right? That people want a result. Everybody says, "Oh, people want the human." I'm like, "No, they want the result. Don't be confused." And people already trust the admin side, Motaz, and more likely to engage. And this is, I want to say this out loud and very loudly. The more investment on the admin side, the non-clinical side, I say, well, will return a bigger ROI than just building AI for the clinician. Because if we do all this work right,
Yeah.
I walk in the door ready to sit across from a provider. My provider's ready for me. I'm ready for my provider. And all we got to do is talk about me. And
Yeah.
it won't take, this is the other thing. It's going to give you more time. I'm like, what happens if you have the same amount of time, but don't have to deal with the bullshit you were dealing about?
Okay.
So it's not more time, it's quality. It's quality.
More time and more bandwidth. So
Yeah, more bandwidth to sit. And by the way, now you can manage my 5 question list, not just one thing on it. I
yeah.
saw a great post about that the other day, right? The infamous list.
Yeah.
AI that takes care of this further upstream will allow someone to walk in the room and the doctor go, "Where's your list? How many questions you have? Let's
Yeah.
go." Right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, "Holy shit." And it's going to be because AI set this all up. So when I say it's going to take over, I believe it should take over.
Okay. So if you are to advise clinic owners and operators to make an investment under $5,000 today, you would dedicate that budget to AI.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
100% here. So March of 2026. And by the way, this is even my thinking around this possible within this small space, right?
Yes.
And by being, when I say the small pace, that means I'm looking at it and listening to a lot of things and bringing it back in. We need this term. It's already getting fucked up. We need the human in the loop, though.
Yes.
Here's what I'm finding and I'm doing, Motaz, is, and I'm proud to say this, right? I have an outsourcing company. It's 5 years old. I've never come into a business that fired people to bring me in because nobody had the proper role filled, right?
Yes.
And this is now what we're doing for AI. I just got my first client who's damn near fully blown AI on the front desk, but guess what he hired us for? Manage the AI process. So when someone says, right, "I'd like to speak to a human," or whatever, we take that call. If things come up during the day, they're also double checking, benefit check, that were the benefit checks done, were there cost callbacks, all this. So we are the human in the loop on this. And again, in March of 2026, I believe this is the right way to go. You put it in place, and
Hybrid
then
solution.
and then you have someone. So here's the kicker. You're
You
not,
get
again, we're
the
back to
AI
process. Yeah, right. We're back to your process question, Motaz, right? You got to have someone in there who understands the process. So
Yeah.
you can't just shift your current front desk team into managing AI, because AI is not a point solution, right?
Yes.
Say it again.
It's an amplifier. It
Yeah.
gets to amplify what you already have. So you
Yeah.
can
In the
produce
journey,
more outcomes from the same number of people, basically.
right? And when we think about this right now, it's, the AI does this, and then the humans got to do this, and then the AI does this, and then the human, then the AI again, right? Well, those humans in there better know what the AI is doing, and the AI has to be connected to what the humans are doing. So it's still a journey, it's still a process, right? It's going to amplify those things, like we said. So this is what's cool. And I really believe this. It's not so much about having more time, it's quality over quantity, right? So, what am I going to allow AI to do and take away? By the way, early in this journey already, I've burned through 2 benefit check companies. My people still do a better job at a cheaper price than 2 AI platforms I've burned through. Benefit check, sorry. benefit check platforms.
Yes. I
So
think the AI is still having some difficulty in navigating the IVRs and the insurances.
this is where the human has to come in here is so what I found with these platforms is we needed a human on the front and the back, and we were getting it was creating more work. It Here's the kicker. It was coming out quicker, but it created more work for my team. So I'm like, there's no benefit here. And I just made you now, mind you, it made the platforms better.
Yeah. So
So yeah, so this whole idea, and I need to talk some of this out and say it out loud like this, but I want people to understand the method to the madness is, again, in 2027, it's going to look completely different. By the way, I want to go on record and say my job will be replaced completely sooner or later. And that's why I'm here doing this is I'm trying to figure out, by the way, I'll send a friend of God and country and go, was I doing this for the greater good or was I making sure I had a fucking paycheck for the next 2 years, right?
but again, would your thought to be for people to start investing in AI now or wait until it matures a year?
AI needs us. I wrote this morning. AI needs you and your process in your business more than you need it.
Okay.
Go into it. But see, nobody's going into this way because they don't understand their process. And I keep telling the AI platforms, if you come into healthcare and you don't work with someone like me,
Yes.
that people will fire you and blame your platform when your platform was just sitting there waiting to do work, twiddling its thumbs, waiting for that process to get dropped in. They drop in their shitty process. There's no better result. And now they have to manage something. They're going to fire it and blame you. And I keep posting, it's not the platform, it's you.
It's both because when you think about it, a lot of the issue on the platform side, that the platforms are built by people who study businesses. I think we need more platforms to be built from people that actually were in the woods and have done those businesses, right?
Yeah.
So they would know the intricate details, they would know the actual pain points.
Well, and that's why I say it needs you.
Yes. Yes.
That's what's interesting. Everybody's running to AI going solve my problems. I'm like, no, it needs you right now. It needs you, right?
Yeah.
It needs your input. And this is the value of bringing on those benefit check platforms. I learned a lot in a very short amount of time. So I'm a little pissed the money it cost me because I was still paying them, but ultimately it was like an education, right?
Yes.
And I learned more, my team learned more about how we have to look at this going forward. And again, I'm going to say this out loud, and I'm pitching it like crazy, right? Getting paid is still pretty freaking important. And the benefit checks are what I consider right as far upstream as you can go, right? Having the human in the loop right now is a must. And my team is a kick-ass team, man, right? For this. I'm very fortunate. As I didn't hire anybody. I hired everybody pre-AI, right?
Yeah, yes, yes. So, Jerry, one last question before I let you off the hook. If somebody is to get up today and do a couple of moving the needle through the thread kind of thing to get outcomes over the next couple of weeks, what would be the first two you suggest for people to do?
I would say sit down. So back on our front desk conversation, because what I say next will impact your whole business, right? Don't go downstream. I spent 8, 9 years yelling at my providers. I spent 6 months redoing my front desk and saw changes I'd never seen in 8 years. So the way you're going to move the needle is get upstream. And upstream right now is your front desk. And I don't care if it's AI, I don't care if it's a person, I don't care what the hell it is. Get in the process with your front desk team. Don't do it without them, because your front desk is going to enlighten you in ways you're like, oh shit, this happens here. Oh wait, you guys are having to check portals and make phone calls. Oh wait, you guys are what's with the aughts? Wait, where does that go? Right. Yeah. And I want, get in it. Tell your front desk team you want to learn about, right, when they pick the phone up, what documents are you filling out? Where's this going to EMR? I'm serious. I still do this with my new clients. And it drives them crazy. But guess what? After they leave, they know their process. And I'm like, well, what happens next? And it's so fun to sit there with the owner or the clinic manager and the front desk person, because the clinic manager goes, oh, and then we do this. And the front desk is like, well, actually, there's right? Happens in every place. Yes. That's why I love having people in the room. So you get together with your front desk person and go, start at the beginning. And start at the beginning is, okay, I picked the phone up. It's like, Well, how are clients getting to us? What percentage are calling, right? I've got clients, 99% are coming through faxes. Well, guess what? A fax process is different than a phone. We all end up on the phone, but
Yes.
it's a different process, right? And then the better you understand that process, the better you can leverage your people, right? So you understand your process, the better you can leverage your people. Now you can insert the tech. So people process then tech, right? And it's going to be that way. It's going to be that way for for the foreseeable future. And that's back to it needs us more than we need it right now.
Jerry, thank you for the valuable insight. It was lovely to have you on the Operator's Playbook. This podcast is going to be discussing the business component of things, not just the clinical care, how systems are built and how businesses are evolving and how the landscape of the industry will change over the next year. So we could get to a 2030 with a rehab industry at the place it deserves to be. Leaders like Jerry will be on our show to share their thoughts. And then, we will be talking about things that we were building in different companies, whether it's consulting, whether it's practices, whether it's platforms, to get the best outcomes for our industry. Thank you very much for listening. If you got the value, please share and send to someone that you think will get the benefit from that show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it.